waifus, air fryers, Pluto. All of these are some of the most revolutionary inventions in history. But none of them compared to the absolute takeover, the cataclysm, the divine savior that is Umamusume, or in other words, anime horse girls.
Let's go!
Streamers, VTubers, gamers, everywhere you look on the internet is filled with the newest craze, a gacha game where you get a plethora of different horse girls, train them up, and compete in races against the best of the best. Tears have been shed, screams have been heard, and bonds that will stand the test of time have been formed by millions. And it has a whole anime IP to go with it. And you may have seen this anime before, well known for having insane animation, while Blue Lock looked like it was made by a lobotomized monkey who just learned PowerPoint. And at that time, the sentiment was, how and why does a horse girl anime look this good when the highest selling manga of all time looks like this? But the narrative has shifted. People have seen the light. This is not just a horse girl anime. This is the greatest piece of media on the planet. You know, fuck the planet. This is the greatest piece of media in the galaxy. So we're gonna go through the newest installment of Umamusume and Cinderella Gray, as well as go through the game and see how the two work together to create a moment that I think will give us some hope that the internet is healing. To start, you gotta understand the full lore of Umamusume, and this shit has a lot of different things. The first Umamusume anime hit the streets in 2018, and the third season of that series came out in 2023. There has then been 3 spin-off series, one that's an ONA, one that's a film, and then the full series that this video is going to talk about called Cinderella Gray. The gacha game came out in Japan in 2021, which has been huge in Japan for years. I mean, a game where you can pull characters, raise horses while having a full-fledged support system, races, and conversations with the character. This is right up Japan's alley. Especially the conversation with the characters part. No offense, but let's be honest. But you see, you remember when I said TikTok picked up its insane animation? That was just a foreshadowing because the game got updated to US servers last month. I'm sure you can tell it went everywhere. I mean, we got 40-year-old Ludwig from video games playing it. But the question still begs, is the game good and is the anime good? And I will be 100% honest. I fully intended to grift the shit out of this video. I saw the hype trend. I rubbed my hands together like a supervillain and thought this was gonna be some easy views. My plan was simple. Watch 6 episodes of the new anime, play 30 minutes of the game, talk about, oh my god, the animation is so good. The characters, they're so quirky. The game mechanics, wow, ooh ah, anime is safe. That is not what ended up happening. I ended up binging the entire season of the anime in 12 hours. I played an ungodly amount of this game, and I can confirm this video would have gotten up sooner, but me and Daiwa Scarlet had to take down our arch nemesis. So let's get more into the world of Umamusume. For one, they're like horse girls, but like not really. They're pretty much just regular anime girls running a race with special abilities, and they have all the tropes of your typical sports anime. Or so it seems. You see, the real catch, the real crazy part of the series is that all of these characters, all of these horses, are based off real horses with their race records all reflective of their actual race records. This just leads to a connection with each of the characters to be way more deep than you think. There's a few that have completely won over the hearts of fans. This girl, Haru, urara, has never won a race. It's like an 1,000,000-to-1 ratio. She has been all over social media, and a part of how that connection is formed is based on the game and stories take place. So let's start with the anime first. We get introduced to Oguri Cap, and she looks kind of like her real horse, who was nicknamed the Idol Horse and unfortunately died in 2010. RIP. But in the anime, Oguri is a country bumpkin from the middle of nowhere and basically has no eyes on her. But then one day, a scout found her and noticed something, that she got that dog in her. She runs like nobody else. Look at her go. She got her head low to the ground. She's stomping so hard, she's offsetting the earth. And he decides to train her based off her raw potential alone. And in the game, it's not as wholesome finding your character. You open up a box as an array of different trainees you can get, and they all have different rarities and values. And honestly, man, I know that seems capitalistic because it is, but whoever you get out of your first pack is immediately your ride or die. I got Daiwa Scarlet, and every character has different specialities. Like Oguri is a good late runner, meaning she will pace herself slow the whole race to burst through at the end and win. But Daiwa Scarlet is the opposite, where she leans out towards the front and then at the end pushes a little bit more. And it's interesting how they're characterized in both the game and the anime. Oguri is one of my favorite kudere archetypes. If you have a job and have no idea what a dere is, good. But basically, a kudere, to my understanding, is kind of like a klutz. They often can be really muted and boring in most anime, but some people, you know, some people like that type of thing. But unlike most other kudere, she can be really goofy between eating a lot, like goddamn, what the? But how they express her lack of emotions is by making it seem like she doesn't care about anything besides winning. But instead of being muted towards others, she's just nice towards others. She gets bullied by the other horse girls. Girls are so mean to her, man, like so mean. Like they kicked her out of the dorm once and made her stay in this shed by herself, and she was like, oh my god, thank you so much for giving me my own room. It's like, man, how can you not like the character? And it's stuff like this that makes you want to root for the characters so much more, because I pulled her in the game after watching the anime, and I'm like, 10,000 times more invested in her character because of it. In the game, you can have conversations with the character too, and I'll be honest, I have never played any game like this, never played a gacha game or any of those light novel games, so there's a lot of dialogue here, and you can't really skip through all of it. Like, the option is either you can click through all of it, or you can speed through it all at such a fast speed that there's no way you can read it. I wish there was kind of like an in-between, because I want to talk to the character, but there's like so much dialogue. But they also do have this quicker, more simple thing where you can talk to the character on the home screen, but most of that dialogue is just like appease, like a certain type of anime fan, like stuff like this, like some people like this kind of stuff. But my character was very clearly a tsundere, so she was always angrily in a good mood. Yes, I said that right. Always yelling and causing a ruckus, but Oguri, like in the anime, was way more muted, and she would get in bad moods. The reason this matters is in the game, that actually affects their training, their performance, causing there to be very high variance on how you train and play each character. But in the anime, Oguri is given many rivals. This one, March, was her rival in the beginning, but what was really interesting is that she smokes March. Like, March is hyped up to be the big bad of the series, and she has the typical rival speech where she's like, "We will battle on this day and see who's the number one." But before that big race can even happen, Oguri gets an invitation to leave the regional scene and instead compete on a national level and just never have her big match against March. And honestly, it was a level of writing that I wouldn't have expected. But no, don't get me wrong, this is not like some berserk level shit or anything, but as someone who watches a lot of sports anime, pretty much everything that you think is gonna happen happens. Like, if a character says, "We will meet at the winter tournament," like, they're gonna meet at the winter tournament. And in the game, Daiwa also has a rival too. This snot, this monster, this demon from Earth, Vodka, was a thorn in our side. Vodka would constantly talk so much shit and give us so many backhanded ass compliments. We'd be training and she'd just pull up and start talking shit, and she had a real god complex. And Daiwa would tell me about how Vodka's comments were getting to her, the magazines were putting Vodka above us, how Vodka was making her feel insecure. We no longer wanted to beat her. We wanted to kill her. So we started training non-stop, 15 days a week. And when we were face to face with Vodka for the first time, we were in the lead, everything was going well, and then boom, like a missile from hell, Vodka came and beat us. I was genuinely angry. Daiwa was broken, and we both had to pick ourselves back up for the next race because the season doesn't stop for anybody. Speaking of the race, let's actually talk about how the races are done in both the anime and game. For the anime, there's typically a couple special characters to look out for. As you can see, it's not hard to pick out who is important and who is not. And each of these characters has their own backstory, leading to the races to be intense, and the animation is pretty good. Now, a lot of the crazy animated scenes you've seen on TikTok are not from Cinderella Gray. That doesn't mean Cinderella Gray doesn't have its fair share of insane moments, but a lot of the iconic ones are from the other series. And yeah, I have no idea why the movie has to go so hard, but this is insane. And while racing, you have to look out for things like the terrain, the distance, the strategy, the pacing, all coming into play. I recently got into F1 and Drive to Survive, and this world really shows off well how much goes into actually winning a race. And because Oguri does go the route of pacing herself slow in the beginning to then turn it up at the end to win, it leads to some insanely hype moments. And when she starts competing on the national level, they give her the nickname of the Beast because she's a fucking beast. As for the game, the race experience looks like this. I know. Let me correct it for you.
The Queen is fading! Gold Ship takes the lead!
What we're witnessing here is history! Condor for the win! Condor all alone!
I don't know if it's because of the time you spend training or the backstory behind these characters, maybe even just the amount of races you lose until you learn how to build up someone properly, but I found myself literally jumping out of my seat at times, like, oh my god, there's nothing like seeing your character down in 8th place with 400 meters to go to then pop an ability and go into overdrive to pull out the win. And there's another thing I forgot to mention. If you podium, meaning you get top 3, you get a full-on idol concert. Why? Why not? Okay, let's be honest. This is more pandering to a certain audience. I'm not gonna lie though. I'm a little ashamed to admit it. I didn't want to like this at all because I'm unemployed, and nothing is worse than watching something like this when you're unemployed because it really rubs it in. But I ended up sitting there cheering it on. Like, we trained so hard and we won, and we get to fucking do this. What's really ironic though is that all the losers are also on stage too, so they just have to do this dance for all the people that beat them. And from a writing perspective, it's interesting how the anime has other threads of growth to follow between personal relationships, the goofiness, and of course actual racing. I think the basic parameters of every sports anime allows their characters to be super fleshed out because the plot isn't too overbearing. Now, the story of the game is kind of weird. It is a mobile game, so there's a bunch of backstory videos and fluff, to be honest, but the main story to follow is the career mode, which I believe is going to change every couple months. The basic way it works is you have a bunch of races and goals you need to beat, and if you fail at literally any of these goals, you have to restart your character, but that character does come back later and help you out via stats and boosts to your other characters. And there's also team game modes and other side quest options that you can use to pass characters for. It is kind of insane, the concept of an agency dropping someone for not coming in first place in the biggest tournament of the year, but the way it fits into the game makes it extremely addicting to try and get as many characters as possible. At this point though, I have had a lot of playthroughs. Like, the way it just hooks you in to play and get higher scores every time, building different characters and combinations, it's so addicting. But eventually though, all of those ways to earn in-game currency will dry up and it slows down as you play more. And the reason for that is so when you're grinding it out, the player will go, fuck that, I am not training anymore, let me get that paid currency. And I was tempted. I didn't end up spending any real money on it, but I definitely was tempted. And honestly, I think they made the training and character interaction part of this game too fun, because I don't even mind grinding, and I don't think a lot of other people mind grinding either. As for the Cinderella Gray story, it's the basic country bumpkin getting picked up by a big academy to then compete at the national level in bigger tournaments, and they get progressively harder every time, and that of course leads to a progression to make the anime very engaging to watch. But here's what my real gripe is. We get told that due to the fact that Oguri transferred in from a regional school, she can't compete in the biggest tournament in the year because she didn't turn in a form. Yes, like a form, like a school form. And I know in most rom-coms or silly anime, they have this type of obstacle as a basic setup for either a weird joke or a weird episode sometimes, but that is not what this is. Like, it's a huge deal that she didn't turn in this form, and she can't compete in the big derby against the best. There's like 5 different supporting character plotlines centered around this idea of her not turning in the form and not being able to compete. The biggest tying being in the Tom Brady of the horse racing world has to go and try and convince the board to let her race, because at this point she's raced a ton on the national level, even though it's not the biggest race of the year, and she smoked everyone. Her nickname is the Beast after all, because she runs through all of these people. And think, this country bumpkin literally ended the dreams of hundreds of other horses. And when the time comes, the board actually doesn't let her race. Like no bullshit, she doesn't compete in the biggest race, which for sports anime is like committing a sin of all sins. And when this happens, I was like, what the hell? Like, are we seriously not gonna do the most important thing because of a gag about her not turning in a form? But then I learned what happened to the real Oguri. The real Oguri Cap was denied entry into the derby because her team was busy doing unknown regional races, and honestly, that's pretty insane that it's that level of detail, and that's how they translate it into anime form. And now I feel bad for looking down on it because I knew they took inspiration for the real stories, but if it's like that, that's beyond cool. The one horse gold ship is an absolute sensation in the community. I mean, look at this. Gold ship players are the most demonic and aggressive and insane human beings known to man. Like, why are you all doing all that? But I guess when you're saying things like this, and if you're sleepy, how about some coffee? I'll put chili oil in it instead of milk just for you. Like, you're gonna have some crazy fans, so I guess doing this isn't that wild. And the real gold ship, I can't believe this is real. The real gold ship went through a race for no reason. Like, through the race. Like, she gave up and it caused over 80 million in betting losses. And I have so many questions. How do people in Japan have $80 million to throw away? How does a horse even decide to throw a race? Like, does it just like not run? Also, like, can you not demand a refund? Like, what in the world? I think the connection people have to the characters in the world is what really is separating it from everything else, because what's so insane about this is it's one of the first trends in the anime space that's Gunner proof. If you don't know what I mean, bless you, you have a job. But 99% of anime-based trends have some form of Gunner undertone to them, whether it be gacha games, rom-coms, VTubers, figurines, conventions. Literally any trend, you can go on Twitter and the fan art community will make the most obscene things of it. For this anime, I'm actually seeing like goon police, people saying I better not see none of that lewd shit on this. And I think that does derive because of how wholesome some of the interactions are. Now, of course, you'll find someone, like this one person's character said, "Trainer, rub my shoulders, clean up the place, and make me some tea. Your role is to serve me, is it not?" And honestly, there's some people that won't be able to control themselves with that kind of thing, and the devs put that in there because they know who their audience is. But for Umamusume, a majority of stuff is people just being like, fuck yeah, me and my anime horse girl are gonna make it out the hood. And I think if all these people then go on to check out the anime, they're gonna be even more surprised. Some characters are racing for parents and wanting to make them proud. Oguri was never supposed to be able to walk, which is what led her to love racing. Symbol Rudolph is one of the goats, and her character has so much aura, man. And I mentioned earlier how I felt this really filled me with hope for anime, media, and the internet in general. Because you see, from 2019 to 2024, media has been super algorithmic. algorithmic. Super robotic, with things being done properly for the highest view count. But although this has been big, I still thought though it would never surpass the big content made for mass appeal. I'll put this into anime terms so you can understand why companies do this and why it makes business sense. Say you send solo leveling to 100 people, and you also send free run to 100 people and told them to rate it out of 10 on a personal level. No objective bullshit, just if they like it. About 90% of the people that watch solo leveling are gonna say, pretty good, 6 to 8 out of 10, whereas with free run, you will get 35 people saying, it's not for me, 0 to 3 out of 10, and then 65 people saying 10 out of 10, this connects with me, this resonates with me, this is me. But I feel like Umamusume has just changed my mind. These type of stupid, crazy internet things can still exist and be massive. And yes, it is a trend that will pass, but I guarantee you there's not one solo leveling fan that cares about their series as much as the millions that are ride or die for their horses. So with that being said, if you are ride or die for a series, why don't you check out this video where I roast 100 anime and see if your ride or die survived. Don't forget, we're just getting started, we're gonna stay consistent, and I'll see you in the next video.